We are officially deep into the draft off season and people are finally starting to put together their big boards. So in today's video, I want to give you guys my updated top 100 NFL prospects in the 2026 NFL draft. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're new and going to enjoy. Let's hop into it. So as you guys can see, this is the beginning of my big board, 91 to 100. We're going to go through every single prospect. I can't spend too much time on this or else this video is going to be literally an hour long. It might be an hour long. We'll wait and see, but hopefully not. I also do want to mention that I have not watched every single game of every single prospect in this class, so there might be some players who are not in my top 100 that by the time I get to their film and by the time we get to the draft day, they might be in my top 100. So more than likely at some point in the future, I'll do an updated top 100 big board after I see the entire scouting combine and after I do all my analysis of other players. With that said, let us get into our list. At number 100, I have Hezekiah Masses. Good size, good frame, great anticipation skills. I thought his tape this year was pretty solid. He's a top 20 corner in this class for me. 99, Dante Corleone, a super athletic guy with a decent bit of size. He is a bit of a shorter football player, and he does kind of struggle to disengage, but there's still a lot to like about him. I thought last year he was really good. This year took a bit of a step back. 98, we got Genesis Smith. Great size to him, 6'2", fluid hips, moves well. You can see how his game could translate to the NFL level. Does have to be better against the run, is not a good tackler, but in coverage, there's a lot to like about him. 97 is Damon Claiborne. He is an undersized back, but obviously he's more of a speedster, right? Great contact balance. You're not going to really get much from him as a pass protector. You're not going to get a ton from him as a down the hill force in the run game, but as somebody who can be a second option to a power back, I like Damon Claiborne quite a bit. Then there's Davison Igbinosun. I like Davison. I think there's a lot of good qualities to his game. He's a very physical corner, very handsy corner, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Last year in 24, it was a bad thing. This year, he cleaned up a lot of his act, and I thought this year he did a lot of good things. He's got great size to him, good length. He's a good enough athlete. I think he can be a serviceable, rotational corner that maybe could develop into being something a bit better. 95, there's Jack Andrews out of Texas. I wish that Texas would have utilized him a little bit more this year. It felt like he is a better player than what the statistics would show, because when he got the ball in his hands, he made a lot of big-time plays. He's a good athlete. He's not the best blocker, but I just feel like he's one of these players that's just really good at everything, but not great at any specific thing, which kind of reminds me a tad bit of like a Dalton Schultz-like player. So I think that'll be his career arc. J.C. Davis at 94. It was up and down at the Senior Bowl for me. I was really hoping to get a bit more stuff from him in pass protection, because I thought on film he did a decent job in pass pro. He still got some kinks in the armor to work out, but I feel like he's a decent rotational swing tackle that can start off in that role and then maybe develop into being a full-time starter. 93, we got CJ Daniels. Obviously, Miami had a spectacular year. He's got some traits to him that are nice. Obviously, a good frame. He's a bit of a playmaker, sound hands, a very explosive athlete. He's not a fast guy necessarily, and he's not the most nuanced route runner in the world, but, with his body type, he'll carve a rollout in the NFL. Justin Jolie, very much a receiving option in the tight end room. He's a bigger dude, 6'3", around 250, 260, but very much so a guy that's going to be more used in the pass game. Good route tree, has the ability to win some contested catches, really nice hips, he separates well. I wish he would have shown a little bit more at the Senior Bowl, but Senior Bowls are not really a tight end event. And then 91, the last player in this little list here, we got Sam Heck, the center from Kansas State. Really smart football player with great footwork. He's a really good run blocker. For the most part, though, my issue with Sam is he's just not the strongest guy in the world. And he also plays like a little bit of an upright approach to him. I still think he's one of the best centers in this class, though. All right, moving over to our next little bit here, we got 90 to 81, and we're going to begin this off with Devin Moore, who is somebody who I've gotten to a little bit recently, but I haven't done the full scouting report on him yet. I've seen like 4 or 5 games of his entire career, but from what I've seen, it's very promising. This is a corner class that is mostly average in size, around 6 foot to 5'11". Devin Moore is 6'3", a lengthy corner. He's a super freak athlete. Where he's going to struggle the most, though, is he is just not the strongest guy in the world, which will limit him a little bit. But if you're looking for somebody with size, athleticism, and length to them, I love Devin Moore in that role. 89, Katron Allen. I think Katron had a really good end to the season with Penn State. Penn State obviously did not have a lot of things go their way, but I thought Katron, as the year went on, proved to be a very patient runner, somebody that works in both gap and zone schemes. He can push the pile a little bit. His issue is he's just not a great athlete, right? He is going to run probably a 4.5, 4.6, which is fine at the NFL level. But if you're looking for somebody who can make those explosive plays downfield, and put on the burners, you're not going to get that for Katron Allen. 88, Torian York, one of the best linebacker prospects, point blank simple, but he is 5'10". And so because of that, he is way down my board. If he was 6'3" and had the same level of play on the field, he'd be a first round pick on my big board. But because he is 5'10", it is very difficult for him to get off blocks. It's easier for quarterbacks to layer and throw the footballs over him because he's shorter. So it's a bit tough. He's just physically limited. The stuff that is out of his control are unfortunately the things that hold him back. 87 is Deion Burks. Now, I do want to throw the emphasis out here that I haven't seen Deion Burks film in like 2 months. I remember watching it 2 months ago and was like, okay, he's a pretty good football player. I can see a role. I'm very intrigued to see what his most recent film looked like because I haven't seen it in a while, so he might be off my list or he might be even higher. But Deion Burks, kind of an undersized, explosive playmaker. There's a couple of these guys in this class. There's the kid from Cincinnati. I say kid, he's probably the same age as me, but the guy from Cincinnati. And I think there's one from Texas Tech too that have similar skill sets that I haven't fully watched yet. So we'll have to wait and see how those ones pan out. But when it comes to Deion Burks, like he's a playmaker, right? You get the ball, this guy in some space and he can do a lot of good things. I like him more than Zachariah Branch. That's my hot take. I just think Burks is a more well-rounded receiver than Branch. Branch might be a bit more explosive with the ball in his hand, but Deion Burks has that explosivity while just, in my opinion, being a better player. You just got to stay healthy as well. 86, I got Brian Parker. Brian Parker's, he's a guard, right? He's definitely a guard. They have him listed at tackle. He's going to play guard in the NFL. He has a shorter arm length. He's got a bit of a lighter size to him, but he's a damn good athlete. He's got good hands. He's a very aggressive, physical mauler, really good run blocker. He's just going to have to improve a little bit in pass protection and make the transition from tackle to guard. 85 is Kyle Lewis, a guy that's flying up draft boards, and I think rightfully so. Last year at Pitt, he had a great year. This year, had a decent year. But the big reason and why people have been a little slower on this guy is he is a 6'1". We're talking around 220-pound guy. We're not talking 6'4", 250 pounds. He's a lighter linebacker, and it shows on tape. He's not somebody that you want in your strong side of your linebacking core. You want him kind of playing a hybrid role. Right, let him play, that weak side linebacker spot. Let him play a little bit in the nickel. You can kind of use him wherever. He's a really good coverage linebacker. He's also a really fun blitzer as well, and he's not a bad tackler for his size. The issue for him is just going to be when offensive linemen get their hands on him, they're going to wash him out quite easily. But that's the issue. Can you get hands on Kyle Lewis? We'll wait and see. 84, Jacoby Lane. A lot of these receivers on this list I have not seen in quite some time, Jacoby being one of them. I thought he had a rough Senior Bowl. It pushed him down my list a little bit. I like the upside factor of Jacoby Lane. He's got great size, great length, and ability to just kind of box out players in the red zone, but he's such a raw player. I really wish he would have returned to USC for another year to get more development, but he decided not to. I think he's probably like a late round 3, early day 3 prospect. So I'm interested to see how the back end of the season went because I only saw a handful of games from the beginning of the year. 83 is Eli Stowers. If you're not a fan of tight ends that are like true receiving threats, then you're probably not going to like Stowers a ton because Stowers is not somebody that you're going to want to put in line and just have him block dudes. Not really. You want to put Stowers out in the slot. You want to use him as a receiver essentially. And if you can get that out of Stowers, you're going to get a really fun football player. 82, we got Austin Barber, kind of an upside swing at the offensive tackle position. I just made my offensive tackle rankings, so if you want to check out that video where I talk more in depth about the tackles, please check it out. It's in the channel. But I like Austin Barber. Good play strength, good fluid mover. His issue is he's just not the strongest guy in the world. He's got some leverage issues, and, he's a bit younger, so we'll see if he can develop a tad bit. 81, Dalen Everett has the size and athleticism, but he's just not really nuanced in the position. I think in zone coverage really struggles a lot in there. He's got bad eye discipline at times, but with that frame, with that stature, with that athleticism, kind of like the Devin Moore conversation, you're going to see teams definitely have him higher on their boards. All right, let's move over to the next section. At number 80, I have Malachi Fields. If you watched the Senior Bowl, you guys would know this guy absolutely dominated the competition, was making play after play. There's a lot to like. Good size, 6'4", physical at the catch point, can box out guys, good release package, great body control, steady hands. He also has the clutch factor too. Like he played very well in big time games. He's just not the best athlete in the world, though he's not going to be somebody that gets a ton of separation because he is a limited athlete. which for some people will make the comp to like a Keon Coleman, but he's a different player than Keon Coleman. Coleman was very much so highlight reel plays. Malachi is just a good player, right? So he's not going to be a wide receiver one in the NFL. That's why I don't think he's a first round pick, but as like a really sound boundary second option, I like the fit a lot. 79 is Jude Bowery, another one of these upside guys, a really athletic football player who just needs to get better, right? He's a good athlete, gets out on screens very well, a firm enough anchor with fluid hips. He has that upside. He just needs to really get more technical with his, hand usage. His arm length also a bit concerning. There's times where he oversets a tad bit, but again, he's another one of these swing tackles that you want to see maybe develop a little bit, and maybe he can be a starter in the future. Then I have Romello Height at 78. He is going to fall down my draft board as this process goes on. It's funny because in the beginning of the year, he was like a potential first round pick, but I never really bought into him in that regard because he is just so light. He's a 6'3", sub 240 guy. That's what he was listed at the Senior Bowl. He'll probably weigh in about 245 at the combine, at least I'd hope so. But when guys get their hands on him, the play's over. Like, he just doesn't have enough go-to moves to get out of the player's grip because he's just not big enough. He's not strong enough. But there is still a lot to like about him. As a pure DPR, or somebody that you want just flying off the edge, you send him out there wide in a wide alignment, just let him have a straight line at the quarterback. He can get there. He's a really explosive athlete. I love the way that he just plays like a fire and an intensity to him. I love that stuff. And he does have a number of go-to pass rush moves, but he's going to be a complete liability in the run game. And again, when you go up against lengthier, stronger offensive tackles, they should be able to handle Romello Height quite easily. But I could see Romello carving a role out for himself as a go-to pass rusher that gets, 5-6 plus sacks a season. Like, I think that's totally possible. 77, I have Skylar Bell, a slot receiver with good route running, good stop and go ability, smart football player with a bit of size to him. I think Skylar Bell is just a solid slot. 76, Dominique Orange, good build to him, 6'4", really good rock in the middle with violent hands, good pad level to him, great play strength. He does have shorter arms though, which makes it a lot harder for him to disengage and be a disruptive guy. But as somebody that you just want being big, physical, and nasty up the middle, Dominique Orange gets the job done. 75, I have Manny Muhammad out of Texas. I feel like Manny gets a little bit disrespected in this class a little bit, and no, it's not my Texas bias showing. It's just, I think the film is pretty good, right? He's a disciplined player in zone coverage. I do think in man specifically, when he has to put on the burners, you can see him, get burned a little bit, which is weird because he's actually a good athlete, but I think he's a lot better in zone than man, but I think he can survive in man coverage for sure. There are games out there where he didn't get tested a ton at Texas, and when he did get tested, he would make plays in the football. He's not a playmaker necessarily, but he is more of a technical outside corner, and I think with, he doesn't have the best size to him, but I think with his skill set, it can translate into being a really good rotational piece in your secondary. 74, I have D'Angelo Pons, another one of these technical, competitive football players. His big red flag is that he's 5'9", maybe 5'8". He's a shorter guy, and it plays out a lot on the field. When he goes up against these bigger outside receivers like Jeremiah Smith, they're going to give him the business. But if you put him in a situation to succeed, maybe you keep him in the slot, maybe you hope he develops into like a DJ Reed, there's definitely a role for him in the NFL because he is a sticky football player, such a technical and great athlete that he gets the job done. I just worry about when he gets lined up against these bigger receivers, which it's going to be tough because when he goes up against Cincinnati, he'll have matchups against T. Higgins. When he goes against Philly, he'll have matchups against A.J. Brown. And I don't love that matchup for him because he's just undersized, which is unfortunate. 73 is Emmett Johnson, a divisive prospect because he is so bounce happy, but man, when he hits the hole, he hits it well. Very decisive runner that doesn't, spend too much time dancing around, waiting for things to open up. Like, no, if he sees a hole, he's going to freaking hit it and hit it hard. His issue is if that hole is not there, his tendency is either hit the hole or bounce it outside. Got to clean that up. That's why I like him because I think there's a lot of good things to his game, a lot of great production, good contact balance, good receiving threat too, but he does need to be maybe a tad bit more patient and a bit more focused on hitting the hole that is designed on the play rather than bouncing things out so much. 72 is Julian Neal, really good run defender with great size and length to him. He's a solid enough athlete. His long speed is a little bit of a work in progress, and I just think in general, like, he is an upside corner that you're taking in this class. I do like the fact that, again, we're talking about entering into these top 10 corners, a lot of undersized corners. Julian Neal is somebody that has the length and size, the power to him to handle physical receivers. Has to be a bit more technically sound. If he can get that coaching instilled in him, I think he can be a good football player. And then 71 on this list is Caleb Tiernan, another one of these tackles that could be kicked inside to play guard. He's a big ass dude, 6'7". He's got great hand usage, really strong anchor. He's also a good mover for his size. He does have arm length issues, which is why you're going to probably kick him inside. He plays a little upright. And man, I just wish that he would be a little bit more physical at times. There are times where I feel like it goes up and down. And if he could just match that physicality throughout the entire game, like, he can be a really good guard prospect, but he has to clean that stuff up. All right, moving into the last bit here of 70 to 61. We're about to get to the halfway point. 70 is Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech linebacker. A lot of people are going to want to push him up. I still have some concerns about whether or not his game can fully translate to the NFL, but you cannot deny the level of productivity this guy had. You don't get multiple sacks, multiple interceptions, multiple forced fumbles, and then do it at the Senior Bowl if you're not somebody that can always be around the football and always diagnose plays to make the plays on the field. There's no denying that. I think he gets off blocks pretty well. I think he's got great productivity. He's a great leader. He's not the biggest guy in the world, 6'1". I don't think he's the best tackler. I don't know if he's the best in coverage, and I don't know if he's the best athlete. But man, if he keeps making plays like that, I mean, he's easily a top 50 prospect. If that ability to create havoc and make plays, then yeah, I mean, that's stuff that can completely change a game. I just kind of question if it is possible for him to translate it over, but we'll wait and see. 69 is Zakee Wheatley, really well-sized safety prospect, good instincts, a lot of play experience, a solid enough athlete in the run game. He's got to clean up his tackling issues. He's got missed a lot of tackles in college. And I think in play action, he bites quite a bit. But bigger safety, can play a bit downhill, can play deep a little bit. I think he'll find a role in the NFL. 68, Chase Basantes, good size to him, good feet, good punch to his game, really solid athletic player. His issue is just more so like handling stunts, things of that nature. He's not the best anchor guy in the world, but I feel like he's just a very solid technical guard that probably won't be a Pro Bowler, but should be a good enough guard prospect in the NFL. 67, we have Jonah Coleman, running back from Washington. I feel like we're getting a bit of prospect fatigue with Jonah Coleman a tad bit here. He keeps falling down the board a little bit for some people. For me, he's going to probably stay around this 60 to 70 range. Coleman's just a good football player. He is a bit undersized, but he's much more of that bowling ball, downhill, physical runner. I wish that he would chop his feet a little bit more. I feel like he gets tackled quite a bit by arm tackles, but he's a very patient runner. He's very good with his vision, good contact balance, things of that nature. He's not the most explosive or highest top-end speed type of guy, but he is 5'9". 220 plus pounds, so his role is going to be much more of that power back option, and hopefully you can draft a Jonah Coleman with, like, I don't know, Damon Claiborne or somebody like that, or Jamari Taylor. That could make a lot of sense. 66, I got Monroe Freeling, the tackle from Georgia. I can definitely see why you'd take the swing on him to be a potential first-round pick. He's got a ton of athletic upside, great size, great frame to him. I'm just not a huge fan of taking massive gambles in the first round. I'm a little lower on my board, primarily because I do think he is a work in progress. I thought his film at Georgia was solid. I thought it was good football. I think he's got a lot of upside and good game to him, but at the end of the day, a lot of stuff to just kind of figure out and get more nuanced in. 65, LT Overton, rotational piece, very much a good run defender, explosive in the interior. I do have him listed as an interior player, not a true edge. I just think that's where he's best suited, specifically in a 3-4, a 3-4 edge rusher. That would be great for him. Chris Brazel at 64 for me. I love his level of explosiveness for his size. I think he's a solid enough route runner that gets in and out of breaks quick enough with good body control. I know it's Tennessee, but I think his play style is just very different from what you see from a lot of Tennessee players. He will have to, graduate from that Tennessee super wide alignments to the NFL game, but I feel like there's definitely a role for him. I could definitely see Chris Brazel being somebody that goes a bit higher than what people might expect. 63, Jadarian Price, limited working experience, obviously playing behind Jeremiah Love, bit of a tough task there, but he carved a role for himself in special teams, being that second back to Jeremiah Love. Great size, great strength. He's a very patient runner, great contact balance, has that ability to hit the home run threat. The big issue for him, he's only played a handful of snaps. So unlike a Jonah Coleman who has a lot of work and has a lot of proven qualities to him, Jadarian is a little bit of that like unknown. He could be a massive success in the NFL, or he could be completely terrible in the NFL. That's the risk you pay on Jadarian Price. But the film is really, really good there, and I'm excited to see what he looks like in the NFL. Jake Slaughter, just a really sound center prospect, a lot of playing experience. Probably won't be a Pro Bowler, but like a multiple year starter, like I think that's definitely possible. And then the last one on this little board here, Chandler Rivers at 61. Bit of an undersized, probably more of a true slot slash nickel corner. But he's such a smart player. He knows when to jump routes properly. He's a good enough tackler with flexibility to play inside and outside. He's just a smaller guy, and he struggles in run defense because of it. All right, we're nearing the halfway point at number 60. I have R. Mason Thomas. Look, I'm just not a big fan of these edge rushers who have physical limitations. R. Mason Thomas is just not a big dude. He also has smaller arms. Yes, he is a pretty technical pass rusher, but at the end of the day, I do have issues with smaller edge rushers that don't have arm length. If you're going to be a smaller edge rusher, that's fine. Have the arm length to go along with it. He doesn't really have that. But as a pure DPR, is somebody, again, kind of like we talked about with Romello Height, where you put him out there in a wide alignment, say, hey, you're one-on-one against this tackle. If he goes up against a bad offensive tackle, he could have himself a nice day. So I definitely think he'll carve a rollout for himself and be a good football player. 59 is Chris Johnson. Just a solid zone corner, really fluid mover, great hips. Not the best athlete in the world, but had some great play there at San Diego State. Just a smart guy. I think a second-round pick. Jeremy Bernard at 58. More of a slot guy, but can play a little bit on the outside too. To me, he's one of the safest picks in this class. Like, you're going to get him, and at the very minimum, he's going to be a good wide receiver 3. Best case scenario, he's a really solid wide receiver 2. He's not going to be a superstar. He's not going to be this massive playmaker. When he gets the ball in his hands, it's not like he's going to make magic happen out there like a CeeDee Lamb or a Jamar Chase, but he's just going to catch the football every time you throw the ball to him, sit in open space, become that reliable go-to target. And he may not like blow you away out there, but if he averages like 700 yards a season, like that wouldn't surprise me. Like, he's just going to be a quality role player. 57 is Gabe Yakis out of Illinois. He's got good length and size to him. He's a very explosive athlete that can definitely get after the quarterback. I wish he played a little bit stronger though, but if his Senior Bowl is any indicator of what he can be at the NFL, that's a dang good football player. Max Clare is my tight end 2, a bit more of a well-rounded guy. I think he's a good enough blocker while also being a high-end receiving prospect. That upgrade from going from one school then to Ohio State, I thought was pretty good for him. Deontay Lawson, really good athlete, good in coverage, could be better at getting off blocks, and he does struggle a little bit in the run game, missing some tackles, but he is somebody that in the modern NFL you want against the pass. 54 is Blake Miller, really solid tackle prospect. You're starting to see him enter into first-round conversations because it's not the best tackle class, and Blake Miller is one of the few actually good offensive tackles that can start early on for you. 53, Derek Moore. These Michigan edge rushers, man, they get the job done. Yes, he's a little bit undersized, but I do think he has a decent enough arm length. He can get off blocks. He is really good against the pass, like a really strong football player that has a variety of pass rush moves, has good bend around the corner. Not the best run defender, but I'm fine with him being a potential early second rounder. 52, Kamari Ramsey, instinctual player, really solid enough athlete to play in multiple alignments. His issue is that he's just not the best tackler in the world, and his usage at USC was a bit confusing because they've used him a little bit more in the nickel this year when I feel like he's better deep playing that pure safety spot, but having that experience playing multiple positions could pay off some dividends for him. And then at 51, I have Omar Cooper, somebody that is starting to get some first round buzz, and I'm starting to understand why. Good size, good length to him. I think he's a good football player, man. Play him in the slot. He is going to be a really good wide receiver too. I'm not sure he has that superstar X factor to him necessarily, but just good with the ball in his hands, reliable player, finds spots in zone. His catch radius is a bit smaller. He's not the best athlete, but he's just a good football player, man. That's the best way to describe him and Jeremy Bernard. Just good football players. All right, then we get into the top half of my board. At the halfway point at number 50, I have Zion Young, really explosive at the Senior Bowl with great size, good length. He did run into some off the field issues, but I think that should be handed out there now. I think he's got a ton of upside, right? He's one of these upside guys that could be a good football player, but could also be a really good football player with some development. Max Ahinachor, new to the position, but put on a freaking clinic at the Senior Bowl. Fluid mover, closes space well, active hands, a ton of upside, a good athlete with great arm length and size. He just needs to clean up some of the technical things, footwork, knowing how to anchor consistently, using his hands a bit more properly. Good offensive line coach can make this guy an absolute stud. 48, Dylan Thieneman. Really just another one of these solid safety prospects. Can play him deep, can play him close to the line of scrimmage. He's constantly making plays out there. Just such a smart football player that is not afraid to get dirty. Needs to be better at taking more consistent angles, but not too concerned there. 47 is Elijah Surratt. Admittedly speaking, he is falling down my board a little bit, and we'll see what he looks like at the combine. I do like these bigger boundary receivers that can make plays even when they don't have the most amount of separation. Now, that is a bit of a concern for Surratt. He doesn't really get a ton of separation out there. He also doesn't have the biggest arms or anything like that. He's not the best athlete, but I just feel like he's so unbelievably solid at what he does. And again, he's a second option for a boundary receiver, right? You typically want two boundary guys and a slot guy. I think Surratt could be your second option. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like an Xavier Hutchinson. I can't remember the other dude's name. The Iowa State guy they took last year in Houston. You guys know who. Next up at 46 is Keontae Scott. Keontae Scott, pure slot guy with great size to him. Really feisty run defender, physical, solid enough athlete. His issue is just he's an older prospect that's kind of tapped out. You know what you're probably going to get from him. He doesn't have the highest of ceilings in the world, but for what he does a damn good job of doing it. Connor Lew, to me, is one of the best center prospects in this class. He's just very technically sound. He did tear his ACL, so that is concerning, but good size, good frame, good hand usage, really good pass protector. AJ Halsey, my third best safety in this class, very much a downhill presence, really good at getting after it in the run game. Big, physical, like bulked up body, but still a good athlete with that said. Great ball skills, great range, fiery competitor. I like AJ a lot. 43, Jennings Dunker. He's a guard. I think if you rank him as a tackle, he'd be a lot lower on your board, but if you rank him as a guard, he should be a lot higher. Just such a violent, competitive football player that has a really solid anchor, good in both zone and gap schemes. His issue is that I just wish that he would have practiced more as a guard during the season, because he does have issues handling guys with genuine speed and redirecting players, but things of his control at the guard position, I think he should be able to handle more slow-footed interior guys. 42 is Jake Galday, big, physical. I think he's a good middle linebacker prospect. Cincinnati used him kind of weird, using him all over the field, specifically using him a lot in the slot, which should not ever be the case for Galday. Galday is, to me, that linebacker that you want flowing over the top, getting downhill, being physical, because against the run, he is really good. He has to be a little bit better in coverage, but I just think he's a good player. I think he can be like a multiple-year starter at the linebacker position. 41 is Brandon Cisse, another one of these really good run defenders. He's got good athletic tools. He just has to be more technically sound. But as a run defender, as somebody that can get after it in that department, somebody who has that physicality and the speed to, make up for when he is beat because he's not the most technical guy, there's a lot to like there. Good cornerback coach could make this guy a legit great player. All right, enter my top 40. Chris Bell at number 40 tore his, I believe his ACL late in the year, which is so unfortunate because he was really putting on a good year out there. But you have to rank him as for what he is. What he is a well put together athletic receiver with great yards after catch ability, such an explosive, dense frame. His issue is that he does have some drops on film. He's not the most nuanced route runner. His route tree is not the biggest in the world. He will struggle with press, and he had the injury. However, it's hard to find a guy with that size, that length, that athleticism, that good with the ball in his hands, with ball skills like Chris Bell. I think there's a ton to like about him. That injury is going to push him down the board, but if he looks like he can participate early in the season, I think he could enter like a round 2 conversation. 39 is Cassius Howell. Again, we talked about this a bit earlier with the R. Mason Thomases and Romello Hyatts of the world. Cassius is an undersized, smaller armed edge rusher. Now, Cassius is a lot higher on my board than those other guys because he is such a technical pass rusher, and I think he can kind of hold his own in the run game, right? I don't think he's going to get washed out like a Romello Height necessarily, because even though he is a bit undersized, he is like a thicker build, and he does have so many go-to pass rush moves that it's like I could see him easily carving out a role for himself as a productive pass rusher. Me personally, I just prefer more well-rounded guys. Cassius not being that well-rounded in terms of being an excellent run defender and also having these physical limitations does make me concerned, but a lot of teams need pass rush juice, and Cassius for sure has it. 38 is my guy, Josiah Trotter. I just love the way that he gets downhill in a hurry. Sure, he's a bit raw in coverage, but he's a young player that needs a couple years to develop. Instantly, though, he makes your run defense significantly better. 37 is Caden Proctor. I mean, it's hard to teach 6'7", 350, 60 pounds. If he can keep his weight to a minimum, I'm talking like 340 to 350 range, he could be an excellent player that can stick out at tackle and also kick in to play guard. I do worry, though, about that size, though, which is why he's a bit lower on my board. Because when he gets up to that 360 mark and he's slow-footed, man, it's pretty easy to get around the guy, especially if you're like a really good athlete like a Micah Parsons. That would be a tough matchup for him. We saw Micah just absolutely cook Evan Neal for multiple years. 36, Avion Terrell. He is an undersized corner, and I thought his 2025 film was just kind of up and down, but there's still a good bit to like about him. He's such a technical player that, despite being a little undersized, is not afraid to get physical with it. He can get after it in the run game a tad bit. He's not afraid to make plays on the ball. Good change of direction skills, good fluid mover. He's just a bit undersized for my liking, and I just wish that 25 film was just a bit better, but maybe it's the Clemson effects that hurt everybody. I still think he's a good first-round prospect. He's just a little lower on my board. 35, Lee Hunter. Man, he had a day at the Senior Bowl. Not a day, multiple days at the Senior Bowl. Showed off that pass rush juice. Really stout run defender. He's just a tank up the middle, hard to push around, but also does have that upside to push offensive linemen back in the pocket. Has to keep the pad level down. Not the best athlete, but I still like what I saw from Lee Hunter. Keldrick Falk at 34. This one might come as a bit of a surprise. I'm not high on Keldrick Falk as a pass rusher. I think he's a great run defender, and I think at the NFL level, that's going to be sort of his calling card, is having that size, that length, and that run stuffing ability. But as a pass rusher, he's just a complete work in progress right now. I mean, he is a ball of clay that you're hoping you can get something out of. We'll see if you can. 33, Kenyon Sadiq, to me, is the best tight end prospect. I'm still not the highest on him because it just doesn't have a ton of productivity, but that athleticism, that ability with the ball in his hands, the way you can use him, I think there are going to be modern offenses that look at him, maybe draft a second tight end that can be a more of that inline blocker, and you get a good combination there. 32 is Denzel Boston, 6'4", with good size. Decent enough route runner. He gets a bit of separation. I don't think he's the most nuanced route runner ever, but I think he's good enough. He's a hands catcher. He's willing to block in the run game. He works so well in the intermediate portions of the field. He does not have the greatest of athleticism. He's not the most explosive guy in the world. He doesn't have the best release package. It's not like he's going to, change directions very well. But, a lot of those similar complaints we had on other bigger prospects. I think Denzel Boston's firmly in the conversation to be that probably wide receiver 4 or 5 in this class. And then 31, I got Ty Simpson out of Alabama. I just think he does a lot of high-level things, right? He reads the field properly, pre-snap and post-snap, being able to diagnose safeties' movements, knowing when to get the ball out of his hands. Got a really quick release, willing to test the middle of the field. His issue is that he's just not the biggest guy in the world. Probably won't be much of a playmaker outside of the pocket. And I don't know if his upside is as high as other quarterback prospects, but as like a really solid quarterback prospect that can develop into being like, I don't know, a top 20 quarterback in the league at his best, then I think he's worthy of a back of round 1, early round 2 pick. Entering my top 30, we're going to make this really quick. Emmanuel Pregnon at my number 30. Really solid guard prospect with a lot of playing experience. Caleb Lomu, ton of upside. That left tackle position's hard to find. Lomu has the talent to fill that role. Colton Hood, physical, intense, smart football player with good speed to him. Thought he looked okay at the Senior Bowl as well. KC Conception, I'm starting to like his film a whole lot more and more. Has to clean up the drops. He doesn't have the widest catch radius in the world, but man, he gets in and out of breaks super quickly. Such an explosive, dynamic player with the ball in his hands. He is a little undersized, 5'11", wish he was a bit bigger, but man, he is just so explosive, and he is that true slot guy that can, play a little bit inside and outside. At 26, Akeem Mesidor. If Mesidor was 21 years old, he might be my edge 3, but he is a 25-year-old prospect that, you might only get 6, 7 years of. No joke intended there. But when you do get off of this guy, man, he's a good football player, man. He gets after the quarterback. He's stout against the run. He's got a good frame to him. He's a competitive dude with good hand usage, gets off the line well, great motor, plays with leverage. He does have the occasional, over pursuing play. He's also a bit of a late riser. He also got to play with some damn good players on Miami's defense. 25 is Kristen Miller, kind of I don't know, a sneaky player here that should potentially be a first rounder. He's just so good in the interior, like such a hard player to move in the run game, but has the upside to be a good pass rusher too. He's violent. He's got such a high motor. He's got a firm anchor. A lot to like. Keith Abney at my 24. Very much a technical corner, somebody that won't wow you with his ability to change direction, his ability to be explosive and match speed for speed with a Tyreek Hill, but he is very technically sound, right? Sometimes he'll run the routes for guys, and he knows how to use his hands properly, knows how to play and press. There's a lot to like about Keith Abney. Peter Woods, bit of a down year in 25. Still think he's good, right? He has the look and feel of a high-end interior player. Plays with good leverage, good athlete, diagnosis, runs well. He's really good at using his hands, having that versatility, playing multiple roles. He does have pad level inconsistencies. When he gets his pad level down, he's hard to move. His issue is sometimes he likes to pop right back up and makes it really easy to get to his chest, so it has to clean that up. CJ Allen, just very much in the same mode of a Roquan Smith, a downhill, physical against the run, plays with great strength, can set the edge a little bit. That's CJ Allen. And then 21, this is my guy here, Joshua Josephs. I love Joshua Josephs. Sure, he's a little bit of a lighter guy, but he makes up for that with good arm length. Tennessee rotates a ton at the edge rusher position. So we didn't get to see a ton of Joshua Josephs, like less than 300 snaps this year. But in those 300 snaps, man, he's so impactful. Has the bend to get around the corner, has a variety of pass rush moves to go to, constantly trying to get into his bag, constantly fighting to make a play. I think he's also pretty good against the run. I just feel like there's a level of upside here in this guy to potentially make him like a really solid prospect. And he's probably going to be a day 2 pick, so you can get him for a discount. All right, top 20. At number 20, I have Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, kind of a similar in the mold player to like the Nicky Manwaris of the world, right? That bigger physical downhill guy that could play in multiple positions. That's Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. 19, Anthony Hill. I think he's just such a good football player that can get downhill. Needs to be a bit more aggressive and definitely has to be better in coverage, but I like him a bit more in coverage than CJ Allen, which is one of Allen's bigger cons. Hill has the size, the athletic ability. He can play in multiple different roles. Whether you want to play him on the strong side, I think he can hold his own against offensive linemen. And then play him on the weak side, I think he can also match speed for speed with a running back. A good linebacker coach can make Anthony Hill very well. Olaiva Vega-Ione, I believe that's how you say it. Big guard, strong, firm anchor, hard to move. TJ Parker, a power rusher off the edge. Somebody that's not going to wow you with 10 sacks a season, but he can get you 8 or 7 or something along those lines, while also being very stout against the run. Caleb Banks at 16. I was very pessimistic on him until I saw him at the Senior Bowl. And, I also went back to his 24 film and came away very impressed. He's got a ton of upside to become like a genuine difference maker up the middle. Caden McDonald at 15. Caleb Banks has maybe a higher ceiling, but Caden McDonald has the higher floor. He is somebody that just is so unbelievably hard to move in the run game. I mean, he just pushes people around. Like, it's unbelievable some of the things this guy was able to do at Ohio State. You're watching film on Arvell and Sonny Styles, and sometimes Caden McDonald is just stealing the show. Jermod McCoy at 14. Unfortunate injury. We didn't get to see him in 25, but the 24 film shows a guy with great ball skills, somebody that's not afraid to get physical, somebody that, could play in both zone and man. Great route recognition. Good in press. There's a lot to like there. Styles at 13. I do worry a little bit about his ability to get off blocks, but as somebody who is just such a smart football player that gets downhill in a hurry, can cover running backs and tight ends in coverage, finds ways to get off blocks by just being smarter and always in the right place. Like, he has a role in the NFL, and he's kind of a Swiss Army knife out there who can play multiple alignments for you. Francis Maui-Noah, really good tackle / guard prospect. Not a lot of flaws to his game. He's just such a strong football player and can play both positions. And then Carnell Tate, very much your deep ball guy, somebody that is just catches damn near everything. Good enough athlete. Not the best with the ball in his hands, which is why he's my 3rd ranked receiver, but still a lot to like. Let's get into my top 10. At number 10, Spencer Fano. Bit of prospect fatigue with this guy, but man, as a tackle prospect, he is just damn good. Moves so well, processes things well. He does struggle a little bit against counters, but man, he's just a sound tackle prospect. Man-store delaying, sticky in coverage, plays with anticipation, has good change of direction skills, can play in multiple alignments. He is a bit of a lighter guy, but man, that 2025 tape is something else, man. He was so technically sound this year. 8 is Jordan Tyson. If the medicals check out, he may be a top 5 player in this class for me. No doubt he would be my number 1 ranked wide receiver, but because there are medical issues with him, you do have to throw a bit of a caveat there with him whenever you talk about him. I love the fact, though, that this is, to me, one of the best route runners in this class. He is just so nuanced for the position. It's hard to cover him because he is a good athlete, good with the ball in his hands, can make some wild catches out there. I think there's better receivers deep down the field like a Carnell Tate, but in that intermediate range, man, he is a complete machine out there. 7, Mekhi Lemon, consistent, reliable. Like, you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's very easily to pair the comparison of Mekhi Lemon to St. Brown. 6 is Fernando Mendoza, just a good pocket passing quarterback that can process the field well. I think he handles pressure well enough, but I do worry about that, pressure to sack conversion rate. And if you look at some of his turnovers, a lot of them are off of pressures in his face, but I still think there's a lot of good qualities to him, especially if you can put some pieces around him. David Bailey, great pass rusher, athletic freak, good bend around the corner, violent hands. Probably not the best general run defender, but he'll hold his own. Arvell Reese can play off ball, can play off the edge, has a ton of talent to play in multiple rooms. I like him as an off ball guy that can occasionally split some time and play edge rusher, but ton of upside. It's hard to teach that size, that athleticism, that violence, and the level of productivity and ability that he showed at both positions at a premier school in Ohio State. Ruben Bain at number 3 can play in multiple alignments. Big, strong, physical edge rusher that has so much juice as a pass rusher. He should be one of the safer prospects in this class. Does have shorter arms, which will hurt his draft stock a little bit, but I don't think it should. Number 2 is Caleb Downs. He's really close to being my number 1. He's always around the football, can play downhill, can play deep, sticky in man and zone coverage, not afraid to get his nose dirty in the run game. So damn good. But number 1 is Jeremiah Love. To me, a premier running back prospect. I do think Bijan is a better running back prospect, but in this class, I think Love stands out a lot. But you guys, please let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on my big board? If you disagree or agree, let me know down below. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I love you guys. Peace.